Welcome, everybody. I'm Mike Sheffer, the Director of Education for the FoolProof Foundation. Welcome to the Professional Development for Dallas Independent School District. We're going to walk you through the FoolProof Curriculum, who we are, what we do, and get you the nuts and bolts of implementing FoolProof for middle schools and high schools into your classroom. Again, I'm Mike Sheffer, the Director of Education. I've been involved with FoolProof since its beginning. I'm a retired teacher from New York. I taught economics and business and finance for 32 years in the Corning Painted Post School District. I'm the Director of Education for the FoolProof Foundation, and I am the first FoolProof teacher. We use FoolProof predominantly in our finance and business classes as the curriculum was developed. So we're going to get started a little bit. We're going to go through a quick PowerPoint that I have loaded for you. And then we'll get to the middle school and high school implementation of FoolProof into your curriculums. And you can fast forward through this as you go through if you're a middle school teacher and or a high school teacher. But remember one thing as you go through it, FoolProof is done the same way for both schools. It's a blended curriculum. Middle school teachers can use middle school and high school. High school teachers can go down and use some of the middle school. And of course, FoolProof has gone all the way down into the 5th grade with our middle school version. And we'll talk about that as we get going. So we're going to start. We're going to go right around a half an hour. And we'll get right to the presentation as I bring up the first part of FoolProof for Texas. So like I said, I'm the Director of Education. We're a high school and middle school financial literacy curriculum. FoolProof, the training, we have a site specifically for Texas. It's just foolprooftexas.org. FoolProof middle school and high school aligned 100% to the Texas personal finance standards. We're going to talk about FoolProof for middle schools and then FoolProof for high schools, how to register as a teacher, implementing FoolProof into your classroom, and of course, any questions, since this is a recorded webinar, you can send them directly to me at mike@foolproofhq.com, and I'll have my email address a few times during the presentation. So I just want to share a quick video with you. FoolProof was featured on Good Morning America 2 years ago when we rolled out our middle school program. So I just want to share this. This gives you a little idea of what FoolProof does. FoolProof was chosen to be used in your schools by your curriculum leaders and for the Dallas Independent School District. FoolProof is 100% free resource for you to use. There'll never be a cost to the end user, the teacher, and the student using FoolProof. So I'll just play this for you to start.
It's called FoolProof.
FoolProof is teaching kids as young as 12 that financial literacy starts with being a healthy skeptic.
Who can tell me what a healthy skeptic is?
You have to ask questions and not always believe everything so you can do your own research.
The kids enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it.
Before I started running Chicago Public Schools, I helped start a small school called Ariel Community Academy. FoolProof has been a great partner in terms of helping shape the curriculum. Having a chance to have access to high quality curriculum in whatever subject is extraordinarily important for our kids, and FoolProof's a big piece of what we try and do at Ariel.
So glad that FoolProof now has a middle school curriculum because kids, that's really the time when you want to start teaching kids skepticism.
Well, I like that it's broken up into different modules.
The information is quality. Like I said, we went through and evaluated the entire program.
Their language is very clear, their language is pure, and it doesn't get caught up in there's not a sort of subtle selling that's going on.
They really advocate for the students, and it's the student taking ownership of their own finances.
You need to understand what you can afford, what you can't afford, and what's important and what's not important in life. And I think those are messages that FoolProof can teach kids.
And they teach kids to think about things like, what is the viewpoint of the marketer, how to delay gratification, what are the things that marketers aren't teaching you in their messages, what's missing from the story.
To the point of what Roberto was saying about FoolProof, they talk about skepticism. There's so many media messages to buy and upgrade and do better.
The emphasis is on questioning advertising, fighting skepticism, being a skeptical consumer, fighting impulse buying, avoiding unnecessary debt, and really a focus on saving over spending.
And that's why it's so important that we have a program that does those things independently. Foolproof.
So that's just a quick overview of what Foolproof does. We're the only financial literacy curriculum endorsed by the 4 major consumer groups. We're also endorsed and partnered with Jumpstart. Foolproof was a national presenter at Jumpstart, and we were the keynote speaker last year in Washington, D.C. We're the idea that we align ourselves with such great partners because they see the value of the curriculum in Foolproof. So Foolproof's always going to be free. It's FoolProofTexas.org for your students and you, as you go through the process of registering for Foolproof. Everything you will do will come through FoolProofTexas.org. Just to give you an idea, again, I was saying I was the first Foolproof teacher. We had 1 class, 1 module, 1 school, 1 teacher, and you can see that our numbers have increased quite a bit since we really began the Foolproof program 10 years ago. With close to 9,000 schools, over 14,000 teachers now registered. These numbers a little bit old. But in the process, you can see in the 1920 school year alone, even with the pandemic and everyone going out remotely, which actually increased Foolproof's usage because its flexibility digitally, there was over 97,000 new students using Foolproof. We're going to be a little bit different than other financial literacy curriculums. We're consumer advocates and teachers. Our curriculum was developed by those groups moving forward. And what we think at the process is we have 3 ideas that we look at: to teach healthy skepticism, to have the students rely on their critical thinking skills, of course, and to be, that idea to rely on research. And Foolproof can be that independent research that gives them these skills and gives them this information without you worrying about, as an educator, the idea of commercialism in the program. Everything in Foolproof, is teacher orientated. We're going to grade your tests, are of course automatically graded. There's pre and post tests. We'll talk about the data as we go forward. You can track the students' progress, and I'm going to show all of you this live as we go through it. Everything on Foolproof is all online. It's all digital. It's about young people. We're big into peer-to-peer interaction. So all of our teaching in Foolproof is written for that age group. And in the process, in our videos in Foolproof, Foolproof has a tremendous amount of videos in the curriculum that enhance the written part of the program. It's all peer-to-peer. Young people are the ones in the videos, and they're talking to the students, not at the students as you go through it. Foolproof for middle schools, for our middle school teachers, there's 9 key modules of Foolproof. Again, I'm going to show you how to blend the curriculums when we go live, but there are 20 minutes each, usually covering right around 20 topics. There are exams in Foolproof. There's teacher guides, and we'll show you all that as we go forward. Foolproof for high school is a little bit more intense into the financial literacy part of this. There are 18 modules, 16 have pre and post tests. There's assignments and activities. You can use Foolproof for high school as a supplement to your curriculum, or if you're teaching a 20-week personal finance class, you can use the modules, the assignments and activities as a full curriculum at no cost. So we talked about a little bit about the pre and the post and the data, and I know I'm going fast because I know your time is very valuable. But the pre and the post test data for the 2019-2020 school year, we are showing 37.5% increase in standard learning objective. So what that means is as students are taking the pre-test prior to the modules, they're embedded in the first few slides of the modules, and then the process of teaching the information in the modules through interaction, videos, and all the different types of curriculum that we use. And then the students take the post-test. On the average, students are receiving 37.5% higher grades after doing the module and taking a post-test. So we're very proud of that. And that gives us the realization that how we're teaching it and the data that is being accumulated by this is proving that the students are getting the knowledge. The other stat that we're really proud of is we go through and do a survey at the end when students finish the modules. We pulled 150 random surveys out of the 2019-2020 school year. And these are the numbers. 86% found FoolProof easy to understand. 85% of the students said FoolProof would help friends in school. And of course, the one we're most proud of is 73% said they'd work through another FoolProof session in their own time. You can follow FoolProof on Twitter. It's twitter.com/foolproofme. On Facebook, you can see the link there. And of course, I'm Mike Sheffer, the Director of Education. My email address is listed here. That's my cell phone number. If you have any questions as you start to implement FoolProof into your classes in the Dallas Independent School District, just reach out to me inside of 24 hours. We'll help you with your problem. We'll get you moving. So that's just a quick, like I said, it's about an 8-minute presentation on what FoolProof is and who we are and what we do. Just to reiterate, we're a financial literacy curriculum that is really unique in how we go through our teaching methods of teaching your students critical thinking skills, to rely on research, to be a healthy skeptic, to make good decisions. And it just doesn't come with their decisions on personal finance. If you teach your students the whole idea to be a critical thinker, it's going to help them make decisions down the road on everything we do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to FoolProof Texas. So if you have a device out or anything, I can help you at this part. We can kind of register you as a teacher and all those different things. But here's the website for FoolProof Texas. And this is our site that all your students will go through and you will go through. There's a tremendous amount of information on this site for you to use. There's an information section. If you're needing some advice with your financial situations, if you want to, maybe you have a college student, you're eligible to use FoolProof Solo. If you want articles on car buying guides, renting an apartment, student loans, picking a college, we have all those as well. So we have a lot of information on the FoolProof Texas site that is outside of the curriculum. So you, as a FoolProof teacher, you get all of this information 100% free, and you're able to use this with your classes, guides, articles, everything you want to do. But we're going to go to the curriculum. So we're going to click on the upper right side to log in, and we're going to get you registered as a teacher. So we're going to go to teacher login. And since it's your first time here, we're going to go through the process of requesting a teacher access code. So you fill out this form, and again, school name, school district, street address of the school. We ask for 2 email addresses to start, just because if the school district blocks the first one, we want to make sure you get your username and password. When you fill all this in, inside of 24 hours, you can just say, hey, this is, got it from professional development at Dallas Independent Schools. And then you can hit register. Once you register, you're going to receive a username and password. Inside of 24 hours, you'll get this, and you'll go to the same process. You'll go to foolprooftexas.org, click on login, but you'll just enter your username and password here. Now we're going to give you a random password. I'm going to show you how to change it. But this will become your FoolProof teacher login. And now you're on the back end of FoolProof. Now you're on the FoolProof teacher site. This is everything. As I say, this is the keys to the candy store. This is everything that FoolProof offers a teacher. Now you want to make sure that you protect your password and your username, because we don't want the students back here, because they get access to exams, they get access to answer keys, all the things that we really don't want them to do. So just a quick how to go through this. Here's all your information. If you click on account, sign-in details, personal details, school details, account settings. So I would go change my password right there. If your school district changes your email address, you can change it there. If you go to a different school, you can sign in for FoolProof. You can make the changes, and then we'll have it on the back end of your account. All the support that we have for FoolProof being a digital curriculum, we have frequently asked questions. You click on those. Of course, if you have a question that's not answered there, you reach out to us, Mike at FoolProof HQ or FoolProof Info, and then inside of 24 hours, we'll answer your questions for you. All right. So if you also look on here, this is all our guides here, getting started. There's a video here. You have the video we're doing now, but there's one that's embedded on FoolProof. Of course, this one will be out on YouTube. This is coming from the link you got from Dallas Independent Schools, but we have all our teaching tips here for you. There is a special education version of FoolProof. If you have students that are classified with students with some type of accommodations, you can click on their name and you can make them, they can get the FoolProof special education version. I'll show you how to do that when we do our class, the pre-test, everything that's there. But we're gonna go to components because we're gonna kind of go through the whole idea of, you know, the one thing too, I just want to go back. We have quick start guides for you. So you're going through this and you're saying, okay, I got to use FoolProof. I watched Mike's video, but I don't remember exactly how to do it. We have all these quick start guides for you, how to set up your class, how to, you know, create a curriculum, all these different things. So I don't want you to panic on this. The other thing we've got here is these are all the new updates for FoolProof. Over the summer, we do a little updates of FoolProof, and those are all suggestions from teachers and our team. We rolled these out, of course, to start the new school year, but we also came up with this called FoolProof Anywhere. And this plan on FoolProof Anywhere gives you the ability to see that, okay, maybe we're not going to be in a traditional school setting. Maybe we're going to be in half and half. We're going to be in, you know, traditional school where the students are there half time and then remote. FoolProof can be implemented in all those different ways. So we took the 3 scenarios that we figured out as a group and as talking to school officials all over the country, that we have the models. We have the models of traditional school, how to use FoolProof. We have the hybrid school that your students are here half the time and then gone, and then when they go remote like we did in March. How to implement FoolProof if you set it up in the classroom beforehand, or even if you didn't set it up before, how to do it. And we just talked about daily schedules and things of that effect. Just wanted to show you that. Okay, well, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it a little bit. We're going to look at the middle school curriculum here. The middle school curriculum is all for you right here. So I would never put anything in my classroom that you haven't vetted. Your curriculum directors have vetted FoolProof, so they've decided that they want you to use it. But I think as an educator, I always look at something before I put it into the class. So we have all the core messages. You have the ability to view the module. You can take a look at the test. We have teaching guides for you. We have all these different things that you can use as an educator and decide how you want to use it. Again, you can't break the back end of FoolProof. All you can do is you go through it, you decide what you want to use, and you move forward. So to create your middle school curriculum, the first thing you decide is the modules you want to use. So we're going to do this real quick for the middle school teachers. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a curriculum, and we're going to go to the middle school, and we're just going to name this, you know, curriculum. We'll just call it Dallas Independent School District Personal Finance Middle School Fall 2020. So let's say you have 5 classes or 4 classes you're going to use this in. All you have to do is create the curriculum once, and then you click on the one you've created, and I'll show you how to do it, and then the curriculum is used, the same curriculum is used by all your classes, so there's no confusion for you. So we're going to check all the modules in the middle school, but after reviewing some of the things in the high school, you've decided that, wow, I want to do the budgeting module out of high school. My students really were into looking at the whole idea of charitable giving, and then the whole idea of, you know, what's this credit thing, or what's this process? So you've now decided that you want to look at these modules. And let's say you like that. So if I had an 8th grade class or a 7th grade advanced class, I would blend some of the high school modules into the middle school and vice versa. But in this process right now, maybe you like some of the assignments, developing financial goals, what job is right for you. So the assignments are designed to do individually, and this is for the high school people too, but the activities are designed to do as a group. So our suggestion is, if you're back in school and you can socially distance your students, you can still do the group activities in FoolProof. 90% of them are done online. So they're all working on their computer. You can also assign groups when they're home. They can do, work remotely, as most college students are when they're doing group activities at this point. So there's a tremendous amount of flexibility in how you choose your curriculum. We're not going to choose it for you. We're not going to say you're a middle school teacher and you have to use a middle school curriculum. That's not what we believe in. We want to give the teacher the ability and the freedom to look at what we have and decide what it's going to do. Now remember, in the module test, we're going to grade all your tests. You're able to track your progress and your students at all time. We have a place when your students do the assignments that it's sent right to your inbox, and you can make your changes and send it back to them, and they can adjust from the changes and send a final copy to you. So we've looked at the back end here just to try to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible for you. But there's no right or wrong answer. If you just want to do the middle school modules, go ahead. If you want to do some blended curriculum, that's fine too. So once you're all done creating your curriculum, you just hit save. And you can see that that curriculum is there for you. I've created a lot of them. I've been, as I say, the webinar professional development guy. So I've been online quite a bit. So these are some of the ones that I've already had saved. But you can go in and edit it at any time, or you can delete it and start again. So let's talk about the high school. So if I'm a high school teacher, I look at the components, and here's all my assignments, just like they were, all the modules that they were, just like the middle school, different ideas, different verbiage, okay? And as you go through it, you can go ahead and vet it, take a look at it, view the modules, look at the test. We have teaching guides for you as well. We also have assignments and activities. So when you're creating your curriculum as a high school teacher, you just do it the same way. You go to create a curriculum. Let's say you're going to only do high school. You're going to do all the modules. And then you go ahead and you look at some of the assignments. And you're saying, you know what? I'm going to do these assignments, and I'm strictly being random now. Not saying these are the ones you should do. I'm just showing you how you could pick them. And you go ahead, and we're going to name this curriculum. We'll call it, we'll kind of stay the same. We'll go Dallas Independent School District, and we'll go high school, PF, and we'll call this 2020 school year. All right, and then we've gone through and we've created the things that we've wanted. This is what you want to do. And let's say you're thinking, you know what, I don't have time for the assignments. I can add them later. Take them off right now. That's how easy it is as you go through it. But we'll save that curriculum, and that one is right there as well. So it's real simple to create your curriculum. You do it all yourself. You pick and choose what you want. I'm going to go a little bit quick now because I want to show you how to create a class. Because remember, this is all the work you've done on the back end of FoolProof to bring it to your class. So I'm going to go to my classes. I'm going to set up a new class. And again, as a teacher, we're going to want to name this class the period that it is or whatever. So I'm just going to work with, I'm just going to do one. This is just going to be one explanation for middle and high school because exactly the same way to do it. So I'm just going to call this period 1. You know what? We'll go period 8 because I'm probably sure I've done some period 1 classes. Period 1. Let's see. Let me pick a class that maybe you were doing. So career prep. Let's call it Money Matters. I know that's a class that Dallas is using. Money Matters. Got to be able to spell here. And we'll call this fall 2020. All right, so the grade is just, whatever you want to pick. Let's say it's 11 and 12. All the components. Now remember, I created the curriculum. I click on a Dallas Independent School District High School Personal Finance 2020 school year. So the curriculum we created will be formulated into this class. And of course, no standards as you go through this. Now, for you, we just updated Texas. So you can say no standards for now, but I will send you on FoolProof Texas that it's been updated on the back end of FoolProof. Then you'll be able to check it. It's kind of a cool feature. When the student completes the module and successfully passes the exam, the standard that was met in that module is checked off. Now, there's no graduation requirement in personal finance in the state of Texas, but you have to offer the class, and it's great proof that when you're getting observed as a teacher to your administrator, this is why I'm using this computer program, and this is why it meets the standards from the state of Texas. Here's a cool feature too. Let's say you're starting your class on, we'll call it 9/18. You can give a welcome message to FoolProof, welcome to FoolProof Curriculum, whatever you want to put in there is fine. But the nice thing is every time the student logs in, they're going to see this. So let's say you want to, 5 days down the road, I got to get the 9 in there. 5 days down the road, you want to go ahead and leave another message that's saying, hey, module 4 is due by this date. I like to date them so you have a running total of what you've given to the students. And also, they can't say to you, hey, I didn't get it. It's there for them. Now, since we're going to not use FoolProof as a smartboard class, and this is what this means, you can use FoolProof as an interactive textbook. If you want to put it up on the smartboard or the screen, go through the videos with your students, use us as your interactive textbook, teach off of what we've done. You can go ahead and click yes to smartboard. And then when the students go ahead and get to their exam, they go on to the computers, they take the exam, we do all the data for you. But most cases right now, especially with the idea that remote learning is probably going to happen, knock on wood it doesn't, but if it does, you're going to want them to do it alone. Here's a cool feature right here. We like to give the students a couple chances of passing the exam if they've completed the modules. We don't want them not to feel successful with their own personal finance. So when we go ahead, usually what happens is a last attempt is, but if let's say we set a passing score at 80 and we know that, we'd be in trouble if we went to our administrator and said, Billy failed, money matters because he didn't get 80 or above on his personal finance. The one thing is that if you go ahead, if you put highest grade, it gives that student the ability to challenge their grade to do better. And I always like that idea as a teacher. So in a remote setting, I like to go to highest grade, auto reset failed test to no. That's what it is now. I move it to yes, because if the students are doing these modules outside of your class, if they don't meet the grade that you've set on the pass grade, they automatically get to try it again. So we're going to change this maximum attempt to 3, but you can do 1, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. Review the tests. I like the students to be able to review the test for the next one, especially in a remote setting. And then, of course, your pass grade, you can mess around with this as you go. But let's say you go ahead and you make it 80. That gives a student that idea that if they don't get an 80, they can try the test 3 more times. They can review their test. And let's say they get an 80, an 85, and they said, you know what, I bet you I can get a 90. They take it again the 3rd time, the 90 is recorded. If you have an entire class of students that have testing accommodations or special education accommodations, you can actually click on the special education account. Usually those students are mainstreamed into your class. I can show you how to do it individually here in a minute. Now your class is set, you hit submit. This number right here, this C8R35Q4, is the number that you give to your students. So when your students come into FoolProof, what they do is you go ahead and send that to them or put it on the whiteboard. Your students go in just like you did. They go to FoolProofTexas.org, they click on login, and they click on student login. And it's going to say, are you a first-time user? They put that number in letters, this code, C8R35Q4, into the box, and they hit enter. Since you created a class, it's going to say and my name is Mike Sheffer. It's going to say, is Mike Sheffer your teacher? They click yes. The students create their own username and password. They're in FoolProof. That's how fast it is. So no big registration for you. You create the curriculum, you create the class, the students are in it. Now, remember, we have close to 1 million users of FoolProof. There's going to be a Bill Smith. There's going to be a Tom Ward. If that's the case, they just have to maybe use their first initial, middle initial, and last name. And of course, probably you're not going to pick the same password as someone else. So every now and then it'll come back to your student, already another user. They just have to make the change. Inside of a millisecond, you will see that they're in your class. All right, well, let me show you a demo of a class and what it looks like. So I'm going to bring up my classes, and I have a whole bunch here, but I'm going to go to the demo. And this is a demo of a class that I've created, and these were just high school students. And I didn't create the curriculum. I just wanted to show you the progress and the grades. So I offered these students all of FoolProof, middle school, high school assignments and activities. But if you look at it and you click on the student individually, this is all the things that's been created for, you know, the student's account. So for instance, this is what I was talking about, the special education student. Martina had some testing accommodations. Once she's registered, you go in and switch her to a special education account. It's the same version of FoolProof. The exam questions are shorter, less choices, and there are some changes in the evaluation. That helped us meet the special education certificate that we have. So in this process, you can see everything that she's gone through. Now, when you go back to your class, it's real nice to be able to look at your class as an entity. So let's look at progress. Now, remember, I said these are high school students, but I didn't create the curriculum for just high school. So the green box means that the student has completed the modules and they're done. Module been completed, successfully passed the test. The 99% means they still have 1% of the module to do and they haven't taken a test. And the box that is green and red means that they've done the modules and they have not successfully passed the exam. Okay? You can know where your students are at all times by just clicking on their class. Doesn't matter if they're in your class or the remote. What I used to do in the classroom, I would put the class up on the smart board. Not their grades, just their progress. So I could look up and see everybody who's working in the classroom at the time. You know, I don't have to walk around. I didn't have to go through and say, hey, what are you doing? I could see their progress from there. Grades. Take a look at what we've done with the grades. It's kind of cool. The first number, 40%, is their score from the pretest. The second number is split down into two categories. First of all, we don't overtest. We only ask questions that help us give the student the process that they understand the information. So there's only 16 questions in Module 1. We don't stick to it's got to be 10, it's got to be 15, it's got to be 20. We don't do that. We want to make sure we're asking the right questions to make sure the information is being tested. The 13 out of 16 means that they received 13 questions were right out of 16. We've converted it to 81%. I have used these. I helped design this. I used all the modules as quizzes, and at the end, we calculate their scores, and that becomes their final exam score. But you can see the difference in standard learning at deviation. So it's 40% to start, 81% at the end. They had a 41% increase. You can see the next one for Martina was 0. She had no increase in knowledge. And there's no exams for modules 5 and 7 because they're guided practice. She hasn't got all the way through to 8 and 9. And you can see what I was talking about at the end. So far, these are her averages. All right. We also have the inbox. Now, none of these students, if you look at their process and their activity and you go to it, if you go to the inbox for these students, nothing is in the box. These are where the assignments come in and the activities. And then, of course, you can submit the grades and then sharing of the information. If you have a teaching assistant in the class or you have one student that's in both classes, you don't want them to redo FoolProof, this is a great function. You can go ahead and share the information with another teacher, and we have all that for you in frequently asked questions. So there's a tremendous amount of things in the back end of FoolProof that if you just play around with it a little bit, you'll be able to see it. We've done this entire PD in a half an hour just to give you an idea what FoolProof is and then how you register yourself, how you create a class, curriculum, and all those things. So I just want to go through and just kind of give you, like I said, the thumbnail sketch of FoolProof. You can go in and make some changes, you know, play with it a little bit, see what the process is. There's so many, if you just under support with all the teaching guides that we have, the whole idea of how to create a curriculum, how to create a class, everything is there for you in this process. But we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be involved in the Dallas Independent School Districts. Again, I'm Mike Sheffer, the Director of Education for FoolProof. You can reach out to me anytime at mike@foolproofhq.com. Usually I would be doing professional development in person when a school district your size integrates FoolProof into the curriculum. But now, of course, in our process of COVID, I'm not traveling as, you know, as everybody, you know, is in that boat. Good luck with your school year. Let us know if we can do anything. Be safe, be healthy, and just remember, reach out to us at any time, and we're more than happy to answer your questions and help you implement FoolProof into your curriculum. Thanks for your time. Good luck at your new school year, and a pleasure spending time with you.